As a person who's actively taking action in order to improve themselves and the quality of their lives, you actually may have noticed that you end up feeling worse than you did before you even became aware of all of this self-improvement stuff. And it's a big problem a lot of people face. It's something I especially faced and continue to face sometimes. And I've just got to remind myself. And it's something I wanted to share in this video, as I wish somebody would have told me about this earlier, because it would have helped me not only save myself a lot of mental health and like stress and whatever, but also just to make progress way faster. So I think you'll find this valuable. Essentially, in the beginning stages, you start from ground zero, right? Say that there's this bad habit that you've been doing. We'll take, for example, watching porn and like ejaculating. This is a big problem, especially for a lot of young men. Basically, there was a point where you would watch porn and jack off, and it didn't really feel like an issue. You weren't aware that it was like a bad thing. But eventually, some way, somehow, you became aware that fapping is like bad for you because it steals a lot of your energy and vitality and just makes you kind of a potato. And after you became aware of this and started, taking action, like, okay, I'm not going to watch porn anymore. I'm going to stop fapping and ejaculating. You may have like done a little bit well at first, like you go for one day or like a few days and, maybe even a week out and you didn't do anything. You didn't fap. You felt good about yourself, but then you relapse and you feel really bad about yourself. You start beating yourself up like, oh my gosh, I just did this again. Like, I'm such a failure. Why did I do this? Blah, blah, blah. Start beating yourself up a lot. And a lot of people do this because they think it's productive. And I completely understand why you feel that way, because it's like, well, if I punish myself for doing the bad thing, I'll be less likely to do it. But what a lot of people don't understand is that by doing that, you're actually making the problem worse from yourself. If we take another example, someone who's overeating. If you didn't know, overeating for a lot of people, it's just a symptom of a lot of stress. People will just like eat way more because, by eating a lot, it takes a lot of the stress away. And someone who is like completely unaware of this, they'll be overeating and it doesn't really seem like an issue to them. But then they learn, okay, if by keeping overeating, I'm having lots lower energy, I feel more sluggish throughout the day, blah, 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 and I need to get on a diet. So they get on a diet, they commit themselves, okay, I'm going to stop eating all this junk food. I'm going to, follow this diet plan and like eat way better. And they do this for a while, but eventually the time comes where they relapse. They see ice cream or like this candy bar or some dessert or whatever, and they just can't resist. They go ahead and eat it. And because of this, they beat themselves up. Like, oh my gosh, I just, didn't follow my diet and I just messed up, blah, blah, blah. And because of that extra added pressure and stress that they put on themselves, they end up overeating again, because what they don't realize is that the reason that they did it in the first place is because they were feeling stress. And by adding more stress, they give themselves more incentive to relapse again. I know it sounds like very counterintuitive and I guess like kind of dumb, but that's like kind of just how the animal brain works. It's just how we're wired. It really doesn't matter what it is. Like, it applies to so many things that you may be trying to improve, whether you're trying to like stop relapsing on nofap or like trying to end bad habits, or you're trying to start something new, like get into business and, start working out and blah, blah, blah. It really doesn't matter. By adding this extra stress to yourself, by beating yourself up, it makes it so much harder to do. Like with the example of nofap, when you relapse and then end up making yourself feeling really bad about it, like, oh my gosh, I just did it again and I just restarted my streak and whatever, kind of beating yourself up. Like, you might have experienced it. Like, when you really beat yourself up about this, like in the same day, you'll probably relapse even more because of all that stress. You're like, oh, well, I already messed up and I already failed, so I might as well just do it again. There certainly is a place to kind of like kick yourself in the butt to like get yourself started, but especially in the long term, giving yourself pain doesn't work. What I found to be way more effective, even if you don't like it at first, I promise you it'll help you so much more, is just to give yourself grace. And the way you can imagine it is, imagine that there's like a little toddler, right? And they're trying to make the transition from crawling to walking. If that toddler started trying to walk and, made a few steps, but then ended up falling, would you like beat up that toddler, like by like throwing insults at it, like, oh my gosh, you failed, like you suck because you can't like walk, or like just like verbally abuse it just because it wasn't able to successfully like walk the first time it tried, or the first few times that it tried? Like, no, it wouldn't make sense. What most people would do is like give the child grace, like, oh, well, yeah, it tried and it failed, but get back up again. You'll do better like next time. And you actually kind of get excited if you're the parent. You're like, oh my gosh, my child's finally starting to walk. Like, even though it's messing up a little bit, like I know that he or she is like working on it, and they're going to get better, and eventually they're going to be able to walk. I think it's helpful to have that same attitude and direct it towards yourself when you're trying to do this. Because essentially you are like a little kid. You're like a little toddler who's learning this new skill, who's trying to do something and learn something new. You can't beat yourself up and verbally abuse yourself just because you're trying this new thing that's completely new to you and you're failing, because by doing this, it's just adding more stress and it's not making you any better. But by giving yourself grace, by like actually kind of getting excited, like whenever you do the bad thing, like, I don't know, say you're trying to be more disciplined in your business and like trying to work on some things, but there's been a couple of days where you just haven't been feeling it and you just didn't do anything to make progress in your business. You could beat yourself up if you wanted to and make yourself even feel even more stressed about it, and make it less likely that you like want to continue doing business in the long term. Or instead, you just give yourself grace. You're like, you know what? I haven't been on it today, but you know what? I'm excited now because I've become aware of myself not doing the things that I need to be doing. And I'm excited now because I'm going to get back on it. I'm going to do even better than I did last time, blah, blah, blah. Or, with the example of NoFap, because I think it's really relevant for a lot of young guys. I relapsed today, but you know what? I'm excited now because now I know what not to do, I'm not going to do the certain things that led up to this point. And now I know I'm going to do even better. I'm going to get an even longer streak, or even if I don't get a longer streak, like I'm going to do better and better each time that I try. It's especially tough to accept this because we're so used to a lot of us are used to motivating ourselves through pain by kind of like beating ourselves up as a way to making progress. And it certainly is effective. It's like the drill sergeant mentality, like just yelling at someone to like get themselves to do it. It's really effective in the short term, but definitely for long-term growth and just like the bigger picture, by giving yourself grace and by allowing yourself to fail sometimes and trusting yourself enough that you're going to get back to it. Not only does it make your mental health just like so much easier, but in the long term, it makes your effectiveness and your ability to keep going so much better. I don't want you to leave this video empty-handed. So what I practically suggest you do is that the next time you relapse, or the next time you notice that you're not doing the thing that you committed yourself to doing, just remember and imagine yourself as that toddler who's trying to learn how to walk. Right now, like you just don't know how to do it. You're not used to that new behavior, but it's okay. Give yourself grace, allow yourself the time to learn. It doesn't mean like don't give yourself accountability, like still like put it on yourself, like have the fire lit under yourself so you like keep moving. Don't just like make excuses and say like, oh, I'm not going to do it just because. But allow yourself that grace and understand that it takes time growing. It takes time to change your behaviors. It just takes time sometimes, and that's okay. Hope you got some value from this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Peace out.